So now the stage is set for the war phase, and in this deep dive, I wanted to sort of go into a battle or two just to explain how the battle system works, how combat flows, and the kind of decisions that are around each individual combat specifically. Now, to be able to understand this, we really need to get into the combat system and how it actually plays out. Now, this system is actually newer than some of you might have seen. Some of the prototypes we sent out with the early versions of the games were really about 6 months old at the point of this recording, and we're constantly working through new developments, play testing the game. We've had probably 100 plus play tests since those prototypes went out, and so we've been tightening up systems, bringing them into less randomness, more balance, more interest, more tension, and getting those out. And so this system we have right here is the most up-to-date system, and one we've had a huge amount of positive feedback from, and been really enjoying this one. So this is the combat system you're most likely to get in the final copy of the game. Now, the way the system works is there's actually two systems here. There's the deterministic system and the battle plan system, which has a push your luck element to it, and I explain both as we go along. But essentially, they're actually the same system, and they revolve around these cards called battle plans. Now, at the end of your turn, as we've talked about before, we're trying to gather a really good hand of cards so that we can use these in the battles to come. So we've prepared the game state ready for the battles. We've added as many units into different regions as we can, trying to give ourselves the maximum amount of advantages, and then we also have this hand management thing coming into play where we're going to be playing these battle plans. Now, every battle plan has a couple of key features that are worth knowing. First, every battle plan has a unique effect. Every single one is different. There are no repeats in the whole deck, as there is no repeats in any of the artwork, and these effects will come into play should this battle plan not fail, and we'll talk about how it fails in a sec. The other important number is this number at the bottom, and this is your maximum battle plan strength. So here we have numbers normally between 3 and 5, which then be augmented by additional effects from the cards. So when you're playing the game, we're going to be looking at the different effects and the different strengths of the cards to pick which one will be best for our situation. You'll then also be able to pick one of these and then pick additionally up to 3 extra cards of any type. They can be battle plan cards or normal cards, and you can add these to the combat to increase this number. So this is a lever we can pull to change the target number we're going for with the battle plan system. So if it starts off with a 5, we can add an extra 3 cards and turn that into an 8 as we go. So when every battle you're going to be choosing a battle plan and up to 3 battle plan bonus cards to go into the battle with, and this is done simultaneously. Everybody is doing this secretly, and then everyone, once they've agreed they're ready, will be putting these cards out onto the table. So let's go and have a look at these battles and see what's happening around here. So over here we have this little battle here. This is already pre-decided. This is actually one of the simpler types of battles in the game. So there are really two. One is that it involves these battle plans, and this is wherever you have a champion, you have these battle plans you do. But then this other version is when we have no heroes, which means no champions or lords in the region. That means nobody can play, that person can't play battle plan cards and bonus cards, and so it's just going to come down to raw strength. Whoever has the most strength wins, and whoever has the second most comes second. So in this case, the druids here have 2 strength, and the warrior and the knight have 1 strength each, so they both come joint second, and this is helpful because it's a pretty cheap way of getting some nice victory points. So in this case, the druids here would gain their 7 points, and the knights and the undead would get 4 points each. So that is half rounded up of this number on here. So it's 7 for the winner and half rounded up for the 2 second places. And that battle is now done. So that's 1 of 9. Then you move into the next one. The over here though we have a much bigger battle, and there is lots of champions from various factions over here, all fighting it out of the Spear of Longinus. Now we can see the value of this is 7 victory points plus then another 6, so this is a 13 victory point region, and so it has quite a lot of value, though right now there's some important stuff to talk about in terms of these decisions. So we get to this battle and everyone's going to choose their battle plan and choose their bonus cards to add to it. A player doesn't have to add any battle plans if they don't want to, and they can just play a battle plan without any bonus cards if they want to as well. Now the situation here though is the question of how many cards do you want to commit. What's actually going on here? Where's the decision? Well, we know that we've got are loads of other battles going around in this game. So we know that we've at least got 3 big battles that we want to get, 4, including this one down here, that we want to get involved in to some degree or another. So we could try and invest heavily here, but as you can see, if we were to invest 4 of our cards into this region, we would only have 5 left total for the other battles. And the question is, would we want to invest heavily over here, maybe play 1 and then get a card back, or would we want to play heavily into both of these or not? All these decisions come into play with this. And actually, this is a very healthy hand of cards, having 9. It's quite common for people to have sort of 7, 8, even fewer. So actually, having this economy of cards in your hand and making sure that you keep as many cards in your hand as possible is valuable, because it's at this point that they get to start augmenting your armies that are on the board. Of course, if you don't play very many heavy cards that have bigger deploys and other stuff like that, you might not have your whole army out on the board. So that's another consideration that you made during the preparation phase. But anyway, so we've got this situation where we're trying to decide what we want to do, and to a degree, because the stage is fairly set, there might be some changes with some abilities moving. So one of the features with the battle plans is that some battle plans actually have effects that happen depending on whether or not you win or lose. So there's a bunch of aggressive ones that give you like stuff like extra cards or victory points, and other ones that might be, if you lose, you might actually get to move people or have other people move. So you can move your own units out to another region or move other units in from an enemy by tricking them. There's a bunch of different sort of stuff there that can help you move your heroes or your champions to other regions. Just stuff that if you lose, you can gain a bit of an advantage to help you out somewhere else as well. So there's sort of win conditions and lose condition ones, as well as a variety of in between stuff as well. Now, but generally speaking, this is kind of close to how the game state is going to be. So we can kind of get a guess and think, where do we want to invest it? So we didn't think we were going to win here, though. It would be nice to come second. Coming second's great, because if you come second, you don't lose all your cards and you still get the second place victory point. So there's often a good reason to try and get second, but not necessarily first, if you don't want to have that big investment of cards and lose them when you would want to commit them somewhere else. So over here, let's have a look. We probably want to have a good set of cards here for the Grail. And to us, we all talked before about having the 2 arms ability down here that was going to be able to help us with the gaining extra strength. So we might actually be able to get competitive here, but we'd probably need to save a big hand of cards here. We're well ahead in strength here, so we might not need to play quite so many here. And this one is going to be quite tight. Now, it's early on in the game. People know that they want to keep their cards for these other battles and other things they're going to have to get involved in. So often people are a bit conservative when they play this first region. But that could work to our advantage, because knowing that could mean maybe if we just are prepared to invest a little bit into the region, we're going to get a good return on it, because we're actually pretty close in strength. So what you do is, with these big battles, the first thing you do is you actually add up all the strength of everybody. So we can see the Fomorians over here. They have 1, 2, and Balor has 2 because he has an artifact on himself. So he's got 4 strength. We'll go over to the Knights. The Knights here, we have 4 strength as well. And the Druids, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because they have a ley line that's got its own strength. So they're 1 ahead, and the Undead have 3. So pretty close. But that little extra bit of investment by the Druids has meant they're a bit ahead, and that's going to affect things quite a lot in this game because of how the battle plan system works. So let me give you a quick overview of how that comes together. So we've talked about picking a card and playing up to 1 to 3 bonus cards. In this case, we don't want to invest everything. I think we want to keep some more cards back for later, so we can play more heavily into other battles. But I think we can get away with playing 2 extra bonus cards in this situation, and then we would put them down on the table. Now, in this case, let's say that the Druids were feeling quite confident, and they themselves had played 1 with a bonus card because they want to keep their cards for some of these other bigger battles later. So they haven't played quite as much as we have. These will then be played simultaneously onto the board, and we can see what they are. So we have had a 7, a 5 plus 2, and they have played a 5 plus 1, so they've got 6. So although they're 1 ahead of us, we're actually quite close in terms of the strength. Now this is where the push your luck element comes in. So what this number has done is this has established what our maximum strength is we can have. And this game, well, it's a little bit like a game of blackjack, but you're actually pulling a lot more levers in this, in that you're actually choosing your target number, and you are able to stop it. You're actually playing against the other players. So what we're going to do here is we pull the card, our separator back in, and we're going to pick cards from our deck to be able to add to this until we can get up to whenever we want to stop. We're going to see each card as it comes in and then decide if we want another. This is secret to us, so the rest of the board won't know about whether or not we've gone over our target number, which is called failing our battle plan, or not. So they can just judge us on how many cards we've drawn, but they can't see the actual numbers involved. So what will happen here is we will draw some cards up. In fact, to be honest, in this game, what will happen is the druids draw first in this situation, so might as well just do those first. The reason that happens is because it actually gives you a bit of an advantage in seeing what your opponent is doing. So we know they've got a 6, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to draw a card over here. Now this would be secret to them, but we'll just see what happens. So they're going to draw 1. And they got a 3. They have a 6 here, so they know that they're safe on the next one. Had they not played this bonus card, they'd be in danger now potentially, but the bonus card has secured at least this chance on the second card, and it has done well for them. They've managed to get their perfect 6, so that's pretty solid. Over here, we're going to to draw. So we've known they've drawn 2 cards and stopped, but we don't know what that could be. That could be a 4, could be a 5, could be a 6. We don't know, so we're just drawing blind into this and trying to make the best of it. We have 7, so we've got 2. And 2, we know we're still safe at 4, and now we've got 6. Now our question really is do we draw another one? Now we don't know what they have in this circumstance, so a 6 into a 7 is pretty strong, but we know that that's the equivalent of them getting a 5 because they're already one ahead of us. So they played a 7, so it's going to be, did they stop on 5 or not? It's a bit tough to say. Did they stop on 5 and they had a 6? Odds are pretty good. They'd have to have got a perfect number to have done that. So if we didn't know about this situation, we'd probably stop here and do that. Though, as we know, this is the wrong call because they've actually beaten us with the 6. But we would put these out on the table and we would add this up. So this is the total strength that you would add to your thing. So we would add 6. And we'd go up to 10, and they would add 6 and go up to 11. And in this case, they would win from the cards that were drawn. So what's interesting about this is that you can see that the levers are being pulled are the amount of combat cards you actually invest into the fight. So you've got the card itself and the amount of bonus cards you add, and so the more card economy you have, the more you can spend. You also want to tread very carefully about which cards you place into which battles where. And then, so you're picking that target number, then you're drawing into that number, and you understand kind of what situation your armies are in, so you know how safe you are in terms of drawing. So if you're a couple of points up on your opponent, if you're quite close to them, that will change the way that you feel about drawing, because sometimes you may want to draw more heavily, more riskily into situations where you're a little bit behind or you're equal to them. Whereas if you're ahead of them, you feel a bit safer and know that you can actually get away with a lower draw than they do, so they know they have to push a little bit harder. And so that's the kind of the rub there, is that there's always this tension in that decision of knowing just how close you are with other players. And so this is why it becomes very important to try and just have more strength than your opponents in a certain region, and being able to kind of push the enemy into the place where they're on the back foot and they need to risk their battle plan failing to be able to beat you, or invest more cards to be able to do so. So in this case, we have had that. Now, if we had maybe invested another strength into this, we would have been safer. We would have had 2 more. We could have actually drawn into that. So I don't know if let's see if that was a good idea or not. We turn this over, and it would have been a good idea, because this would have happened if we had invested 1 extra card rather than 2. We would have had then an 8 to play with. We would have drawn 7 in this case when we were pushing into it, and that 7 would have put us on top of each other exactly. And this is where the Holy Grail would come in. The Holy Grail would allow us in a tie to increase our strength by 1, push ourselves 1 up, and win. So had we invested just 1 card more, we would have done that. But in doing so, we would have been lower on cards for our future battles. So it's a very tough choice on just how much you want to play. And as you play the game, you'll find that there's all kinds of little situations where you're like, if I'd only played 1 more thing here, if I'd only added 1 more dude or a few more dudes into this, I would have won. And so it's one of those sort of like, oh, next time I will do things differently. And you have to, and a lot of it's just feeling it out. You really do have to sort of feel out the sense of what your opponent's going to do and what you know you can do. The other area here is about baiting out players and situations. So when you have these armies, you're kind of signaling to where they're going to be, where you're going to invest your strength. But if you can bait out an enemy to to invest heavily in a region that you don't actually care about that much. In fact, you're kind of thinking about investing more heavily in a different one. You can get them to lose a bunch of cards. They lose that economy advantage over you, so that then you could then invest more freely elsewhere and not have to worry about their big hand of cards that they have, because they lose their hand of cards investing in something that you aren't actually too bothered with after all. And so there's a little bit of that as well. Mind games can come into play with that as well. So I did say earlier there was two different systems in the game, and this is where it kind of makes sense to explain them. So we've seen here the battle plan system using the push your luck mechanism. This is kind of the standard way to play the game. This is very tense, very things. There's a saying that no plan survives first contact with the enemy, and that's kind of what this game has. Is you have this plan, you've set up your army, you've got your battle plan, you've invested into it, you're getting ready to go, but ultimately it's going to come down to what happens on that field of battle when you're drawing those cards and deciding when to pull back or not pull back, add more or less. You get to decide that. But there is also another version of the game which is fully deterministic, and in this version we get rid of all the randomness. So if you've kind of got to this point and gone, you know what, randomness is not I don't like any kind of drawing at all, even when I get to be the agent or decider of when I draw and how much I draw. If you're in that way and you want to go for a sort of a really heavy kind of Euro experience for this thing, then you can actually play the game deterministically. And in this case, it's got a single change to the entire system, and it just works. So you take your cards just as you do normally. You pick your battle plan, pick your bonus cards, but instead of drawing, you just get the strength. This 5 with these extra 1, 2, 3 would have been an 8 strength bonus, and you just get them, and then that just works into the system. It just treats it as if you got the maximum strength you could possibly have. This is where you kind of get out exactly what you put in this system, and some players like that. Some people like playing the push your luck system and adding that sort of tension in and having that kind of those sort of like big epic moments of did they, don't they, have they, should I push more, should I stop, all that kind of jazz. So anyway, this is a quick overview of the system here, and in this case we know that the Druids had actually won here. So the Druids would take this artifact and add it to the champion in the region, and they would get their victory points, and they would get their 13 VP from this, which would make them up to 20, and we would be getting half of that. So coming in second and get 4. So as you can see, that's quite a big swing to go from 13 to 4 based on this thing. So the battles really matter how they come out, and this is an investment of strength. There wasn't a lot of difference between this investment, but in the end, some of these guys got nothing for that investment. Some of them go, we got 4 points, and these guys got like 13. So it means that these battles really matter, and how that investment goes in the preparation phase is a hugely important part of the process as you come to win. And you'll find that these battles get very tight. They're often coming down within 1 strength of each other, often coming down to draws and things. It gets very, very tight, which often makes then that Excalibur very important off the favour track. So getting them, working through your prophecies and making sure you have Excalibur is very valuable. So after this, what would happen in this case as well? This is also worth knowing from a strategic perspective. After the battle, all the cards that you drew, they just go away, and they're going to go into the discard piles. But then also, depending on what position you will lose some cards. So in the case of the winner loses every card they invested. So there's also a question here of if you can get away with winning without investing too heavily, you're going to lose less cards, have more cards elsewhere, and also at the end of the season, if you've got any cards left in your hand, you get victory points for those cards. And so it's only 1 victory point per card, but it is a valuable thing that can help to improve stuff if you can keep a certain level of efficiency. The loser, however, they actually keep all of their cards. Every single card will come back to them, unless they failed their battle plan. So should we have drawn over 8 in this case with our battle plan, this battle plan would be destroyed. It's gone. We can't use it again. It failed. So this would then go into the discard pile, and we would draw back all of the bonus cards that we put in. So we'd only lose 1 card max, and we'd only lose it if we failed our battle plan. So there are good reasons not to want to push past your battle plan. The other thing that would also happen in the battle plan situation that failed is that you only get half of the strength of your battle plan rounded up. So we'd only have got 3 strength out of this, which obviously itself is not a lot. It wouldn't have been enough to secure us the victory in this case, and probably he would have actually not even secured a second place if the other units, the other players, had been playing their battle plans. So in this case, we just simulated these two players playing, but obviously there's actually four of them that would have all played into their battle plans, all have drawn cards to see who would have won. And in a normal game, this is happening in the moment of seconds. It's just sort of happening. People are just drawing cards and things like that. But as we go into this, it takes a bit longer to go through the sort of the deeper waters of it. And yeah, so then the battle would go around, keep going, and you're going to keep going until you reach finally the middle and score the middle. So yes, I hope this gives you a bit of an idea of how the combat would work, and just how there's this very important interaction and set of interactions between the preparation phase, which is massive, like where the armies are, how you're dividing your champions up so you can play battle plans into those battles, moving them around so they can get into position. So it's a lot on maneuvering and building up armies and forces in the right places, trying to outdo your opponents with their maximum strength so you can have that little bit of extra safety, which is impactful, very impactful when it comes to the battle plans and the investment of cards. So you've got that whole preparation phase, all that's why we call it the preparation phase. It's all aimed at what's going to happen in that war phase, and getting ready for it. And then also at the same time, then during the preparation phase, trying to keep a good hand economy so you can play a variety of different cards, various battle plan cards in your hand, so that you can choose the right effect for you at the right time, and then also have enough to add bonus cards to help like augment the battles as you go. And then just that then additionally, that so you've got that pulling of levers of the kind of which of these cards to play, then how many bonus cards to add to it. And then finally, like the actual draw itself, the really tense kind of like pulling it. Do you, don't you? Is it okay to leave it at that, or are you going to go a little bit stronger if you do leave it? Is that the. And you can feel, as you can see, you can feel out that as you go through, you can just tell between the positionings of their cubes and what cards they have played. You can kind of feel out if it's a good idea or not for you to be able to do. You can't always tell absolutely for sure, but you can kind of start to get a feel for whether or not it's the right idea to kind of quit while you're ahead or push that a little bit harder to see if you can reach the right spot. So, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little deep dive into the combat mechanisms of Avalon, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, bye.